In this video, we'll go over some of the FAQs, the frequently asked questions, and hopefully address some of your same questions. This information is located on the National Council of State Boards of Nursing down under NCLEX FAQs. So the first one is taking the NCLEX. What are the eligibility requirements? And I think most of these FAQs we've answered. So remember that who determines your eligibility is the state in which you're going to use as your primary state to be registered. How do you register? You first need to complete that two-step process. So the first step is to contact your Board of Nursing and request a registration application. You'll pay the Virginia or whichever state Board of Nursing and submit the application materials that's required. The second step is to register with Pearson VUE. I have registered for NCLEX. When will I get my authorization to test email? Once you've been made eligible by your Board of Nursing, you'll receive an authorization to test through the email address you provided when you registered. If you've not received that in a couple weeks, you'll need to contact them and get the details. You must test within the validity dates of your ATT. Call Pearson VUE if there's any issues with that process. The forms of identification we've reviewed, the names, the addresses, the important information. Let's go over more about how the NCLEX works. So to continue with some of the questions about the CAP process. You're not able to skip questions. You must move on. Is it true that candidates who receive the minimum number of items and the last item is easy, will they fail? The answer is candidates cannot reliably identify which items are easy and which are difficult with regard to what NCLEX scale is. At the end of the examination, a candidate is usually receiving items that they have approximately a 50% chance of answering correctly. The candidate's sense of what's easy and what's difficult is relative to their ability. Because the examination is adaptive, both high and low ability candidates will think the items at the end of the exam are challenging. If a candidate fails with 75 items, does this mean they did very poorly? This means that it took only the minimum number of items for the scoring algorithm to determine with 95% certainty that the candidate's nursing ability was below the passing standard. Are candidates randomly selected to receive maximum length examinations? No. Items are administered following those principles of CAT. Candidates are not randomly selected to receive a designated number of test-taking items. As candidates take the exam, items are selected based on the candidate's response to the previous questions. The exam ends when it can be determined with 95% certainty that a candidate's performance is either above or below the passing standard, regardless of how many items were answered or the amount of testing time except the 6-hour maximum limit. Will students have exams that focus on nursing specialties? The NCLEX is computer adaptive and items are selected based on each candidate's ability. Each exam adheres to the test plan content area percentages. Let's look at those. So here's the testing plan for it's dated 2016, but it is the current testing plan. This is provided for you on Blackboard, but it does go over the client needs section, more about integrated processes, and here's the distribution of content. So as you can see, the content is based on some of those same categories that you've experienced in your Kaplan review. Management of care is 20%, safety and infection control, health promotion, physiological adaptation, etc. So this is a good resource for you to review the types of content that's included in the exam. Does NCLEX bold key terms in items such as most, priority, best, and highest? Yes. Does the NCSBN use generic and trade names on items with medications? It uses language consistent for every exam. In order to achieve, each test item can only have one meaning. At this time, the NCLEX will reflect on most occasions the use of generic medication names only. They take into account the use of medication generic names as being more consistent, while a brand or trade name may vary. Is there a need to know list of drugs for the NCLEX? They do not provide a list. Which units of measurement will be used and lab values? On average, NCLEX use items currently include a combination of metric international systems and empirical measurement options used in the nursing profession. The NCLEX incorporates processes considered fundamental to the practice of nursing and therefore are integrated throughout the NCLEX test plan. Okay. So the final section is preparing students for the NCLEX. As you know, you will have already participated in your Kaplan Senior Seminar, which hopefully helps you focus your studies on areas that you structure with. Okay, this concludes the video series on NCLEX exam.